Why do you always talk in riddles, Mr. Hatter? Can't we just discuss the world as it is?
The world as it is? Oh dear, Alice. It's far more complicated than that.
Chapter 1: Seeking a Master. My journey from one question to being a professional, paid to ask and answer questions using a scientific model, unfolded with truly little effort. However, there were a few twists and turns along the way. I began as a behavior specialist, as I mentioned, in a school district. For 3 years, I worked mostly with elementary school kids and some middle schoolers. We used the same bag of tricks for every kid: visual schedules, tokens for rewards, and isolation from peers and late stays for the unruly behavior. Some programs were effective. Some programs were not. Our problem was the ineffective programs. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to figure out why things weren't working. I won't speak for my co-teachers, but I was frustrated. I was frustrated that these kids didn't do what they were supposed to do. I knew 2 things about these kids. Number 1, they were behind their peers in school. Number 2, almost every single kid had some sort of difficulty at home. I spoke with my good friend and colleague. He pressed me on why we were doing late stays with this little wannabe gangbanger. I didn't have a good answer. It was the same reason we yell at our kids or hit our dogs on the nose with a newspaper, because we don't have a better way, and we're exasperated. He said,
You know this kid you guys make stay until 6 o'clock? He's just getting more distrustful of authority. He's also not learning anything, so he would rather stay late than feel like a super idiot because he can't read. What you need to do is restructure the environment so he sees you guys as supporters that will help him to feel smart, while you're simultaneously making school a place he wants to be, and teachers, people he wants to listen to.
I agreed. We thought the problem was in the student. We decided to approach the student as if the problem was everything but the student. I pitched the idea to my boss. She also agreed, or at least she agreed it was worth a try. For 6 weeks, and for once, we were the ones turning the tables over. We turned it all upside down for this kid. We changed his setting. We gave him unlimited access to highly preferred staff. We limited his tasks to simple work and told him he didn't have to come up with the answer. All that he had to do was ask us appropriately, and we would give him the answer. We started out with him working for 5 minutes to earn 55 minutes of whatever he wanted. By the end of the 6 weeks, he would work for 55 minutes to earn only 5 minutes of an appropriate school break, like taking a walk. For the entirety of the program, this kid did not say one inappropriate word, nor did he exhibit any problem behavior. It had worked. It actually worked. Weeks later, when my boss was referring to this student in a meeting, her eyes welled up with tears. The program we created and implemented was a pretty big deal. It was such a big deal, we did it for every problem behavior kid throughout the whole... Oh wait, no, that's not right. That's not how it went down. That's how I wished it had gone down. We didn't do anything like this for any other student. Instead, we just continued throwing the visual schedules, tokens, and late stays at every poorly behaved kid in the district. We celebrated the successes and ignored the failures. I got out of Dodge. Well, I actually left town because I got a divorce and finally wanted to fulfill my dream of becoming a surfer. About a year later, I found myself living in San Diego, renting a room from someone I found on Craigslist, and leading sea cave kayak tours and surfing on every day off. Then, just before Halloween, a couple with a young daughter from Texas signed up for one of my group tours. They were a very sweet family, and the young girl was very shy. I tried to connect with her, sharing the classic kayak anecdotes and jokes, the family-friendly versions, that included mythical information about the world-famous local Dr. Seuss. But she was not interested. We finished up the tour, headed back into the shop to change out of our cold and wet ocean attire. The mom from Texas pulled me aside and said,
"I'm a little embarrassed to tell you this, but my daughter is in the changing room, refusing to come out."
I wasn't really sure why she was sharing this information with me, so I simply responded with, "That's no problem." Then the mom continued,
What I mean is, she's autistic, and she doesn't like to put her new clothes on. It usually takes an hour or so for her to get dressed. I'm sorry, she normally does this when we're at home.
I reassured her that it wouldn't be a problem and that she was welcome to take all the time she needed. She was right. It took her about an hour. Then they left. I finished up my shift, packed up my things, leashed my husky, also doubling as our shop dog, and walked down to the beach to drink a tall boy and smoke some cigarettes as the sun set over the Pacific. This really is the life, I thought to myself. But I also felt unsettled. I had no real bills. I could wear board shorts and sandals every day to work. I made enough tips to support my minor bad habits, and I got to surf all I wanted. Question: you know who doesn't complain about California being expensive? Answer: surfers who enjoy the free weather and free ocean every day. That was me. I didn't have a complaint in the world. Somehow I still felt unsettled. I was starting to realize it had something to do with the Texas mom and her daughter, who struggled to dress independently. It had felt strange when she approached me to discuss her daughter and how we never got around to talking about the different ways to motivate her daughter to get dressed faster. But that wasn't my role. I wasn't a behavior specialist or teacher in her eyes. I was just the kayak guide. A couple weeks went by, and I spent them the same way I spent all my weeks since arriving in California. But I was no longer fulfilled living the surf bum life. I knew my calling, and I knew I wasn't being true to it. It was time for me to get back to business, the behavior business. Fortunately, I found a great opportunity up the coast in Santa Barbara. I took the job and immediately loved the work, and I still got to surf. Central California was stunning, but I found we were solving behavior problems without an essential component, the analysis. My old friend, who had helped me turn the tables on our school kid a couple of years back, challenged what I was doing. He said,
Hey, brother. I know you dig where you are, but maybe it's time for you to go learn from the masters.
I immediately thought to myself, he's right. I do need to train with the Kung Fu monks of Shaolin. Then he continued,
And I don't mean learning karate from monks in China. Go to Florida. Get your master's degree in applied behavior analysis.
He had a point. There's no Kung Fu I was aware of in Florida, but it does have some real behavior masters. There's also surf in Florida. I could go there. I could go there and become a master, a true master of behavior analysis. So I did. I went to meet a master. I went to become a master of behavior science.
Yeah!